Hello, everyone. We welcome you to this edition of News You Can Use. I'm your host, Thera Martin Milling, and I am delighted to be with you once again as we bring before you some outstanding people in Philadelphia who are doing great things. Today on our program, we're going to shine the spotlight on a school in North Philadelphia on Lehigh Avenue. It's called St. Martin de Porres School, and what a story they have to tell. I had an opportunity to go on a little bit of a tour there recently, and so we'll share with you some of the history and some of what's going on at St. Martin de Porres School in this first segment on News You Can Use today, and we'll be back to do just that after this. We are back as we go forward with this edition of News You Can Use. If you just turned your television set on, I want to say hello to you, and we hope you'll stay along for the entire program. I'm the host, Thera Martin Milling, and today on the program, we are shining the spotlight on an institution in North Philadelphia called St. Martin de Porres School, and I am just delighted to have Sister Nancy here, the principal of the school. Thank you so much for coming,
You're
Sister
welcome,
Nancy.
Thera.
And I have Mr. Morrison here. We thank you for coming as well. Director of Development for St. Martin de Porres. Yeah, and I'm just so glad that folks from the Commerce Department actually hooked us up. And that was a pretty good thing. It was Karen Fegley and Bob Colazzo. They went to your school. I believe they had the tour, and they came back so excited, and they were like, you got to get over there. It's got to do something over there with that school, and we're glad to have you here today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Can we start out by talking about the history of the school a little bit, Sister Nancy?
Okay, the school had been known as St. Columba back in the day. In 1993, it merged with some of the area Catholic schools closing, and they consolidated to make St. Martin de Porres. We've been there over 100 years and offering a K through 8 education. And now this current year, we started with pre-K. So we have a 3-year-old program and a 4-year-old program. We're right there at 23rd and Lehigh and have educated thousands of students at our school. Yeah. So we do a great job of working within the community and kind of giving the students the things that will give them the tools to succeed.
Well, I am a proud product of the Catholic school system here, largely in Philadelphia, but also in other parts of the country because I was an Army brat. There is no one who can convince me that you can get a better education anywhere than in a Catholic school. And I'm very proud of the education that I received, and I think it certainly made a difference in my life and the successes that God has been able to bless me with. So as I look at the St. Martin de Porres School, I've heard all kinds of good things about what's happening with your youth, and that some of your youth who graduate, they're not forgetting from whence they came. They come back after graduation. You were telling me that, Mr. Morrison?
Yeah, some of them come back and they volunteer. We have them putting in volunteer hours. And in fact, this past year, we had a graduate come back and do her student teaching at our school.
Now
She's
that must have been special.
Yeah.
That must have been special. But what's the secret to your success and or longevity? Because you're talking about you've been there 100 years.
I know.
We're seeing Catholic schools close up all around us, and it hurts my heart every time I watch it on the news. Even though it's a school that I have nothing to do with, never been there or whatever, it just sort of bothers me to see all these great schools closing because I know about the worth of a Catholic education.
There are a couple structural things I would just want to toss in related to that. One, in 2010, we became the first independent Catholic school in the area, which basically meant before that we were just surviving and struggling, and probably would have been on the chopping block like a lot of schools. But we were able to have a lay board put together by Father Ed Hallinan a number of years back, and they worked together, put together an endowment, and then made this agreement with the Archdiocese so that we could be independent financially, but still affiliated to use the curriculum and such. So that was in 2010. And then in 2013, the successful model of the school then was used to launch the Independence Mission Schools, which is now a group of 15 schools and about 4,000 kids in the greater Philadelphia area that now are benefiting from a Catholic elementary education because of all of this working together.
Wow, that sounds really, really interesting.
Well, I think of it also as not only a lot of hard work, but also some amount of luck, you know, where we were able to bring people into the building, and once they walked around, like you did, they were just captured by what they saw. And what they saw were young people who were fully engaged in their learning in a very orderly kind of environment, as you're probably used to from your own background.
Yes, yes.
I think what's very interesting, too, for some of our viewers would be that while we are a Catholic school, most of the students within the school are themselves not Catholic.
Which was the next point that I was going to bring up and ask you about. When my family first came to Philadelphia, my dad was stationed in Philadelphia. And so he had these two little girls, myself and my sister, and both my parents wanted us to have the best education, which back then they heard it was Catholic school. My parents didn't know nothing about Catholic because they were not Catholic. But back in those days, now I'm dating myself 100 years ago, you had to be a Catholic to go to Catholic school. So now my parents had to get us to be Catholics, and we went through the whole process, which was a beautiful, wonderful process, and getting confirmation and First Holy Communion and all those wonderful things. But I guess I am kind of glad to hear that, fast forward to 2014, and before 2014, that students could benefit from a great Catholic education, even if they weren't necessarily Catholics.
We explained to the parents that the school is very Christian in its orientation, and we feel as if they have that belief themselves, they shouldn't find anything offensive, in that what we try to teach the students is the things that kind of unite us, not the things that divide us. And aren't there always more things that do unite us than divide us? And so I think our school is an example in reality of that occurring, where we have different kinds of people, different faiths represented, and getting along and with respect and with the differences, but with a commonality of our faith and of our tradition. And I think a good sense of welcome, you know, the good sense of welcome and rootedness in the community, where I've seen my students bring their children rather, back to our school.
Oh, that is so neat.
So it makes me feel like Granny. I never was a mother being a nun, but I'm like a granny now.
I hear you. I hear you, Sister Nancy. Sister Nancy, the principal of the school, and along with her director of development, Mr. Morrison. I'm just so glad that, again, that you all could come to help tell the story, because we don't want Philadelphia children and or parents to miss out on something good right in the heart of North Philadelphia. So now let's talk about how students come to the school. Are they largely students who are from that area, or is there a bus service that children can come in, or how does that work?
Well, it's a combination, actually. We do have bus service available for students who live about 1.5 miles or more from the school. The school district provides that free of charge. So we have about 4 buses that come in every day and bring students in, as well as parents who drop them off, as well as students who walk back and forth to school. So we have a pretty good assortment of variety of ways the students do come to the school. And that kind of gives us a nice sense of community and diversity at the same time.
There's a saying, you get what you pay for, right? So you get an excellent education, I guess, when you pay for it. That's been a stumbling block, I think, for some families, even Catholic families or non-Catholic families who wanted their children to go to Catholic school but couldn't afford it. Even back when I was in school, I know that it was always a struggle for my parents. My parents each held down 2 jobs so that their girls could go to Catholic school. And then when I wasn't doing so well in Catholic school, now at this point I was at St. Athanasius up in West Oak Lane, brought home a F. My parents had never seen an F before, so they were quite upset. They said, okay, this one here needs special attention. We're going to put her in private Catholic school, so that my classroom size would go down to like 15 students in a class. So now, what are your classroom sizes like? And let's talk about the finances. And we don't have to get down to dollars and cents, but is it affordable?
Our classrooms range from like 13 in the pre-K 3-year-old till about 25 or 26 at the max.
That's where I blossomed and bloomed. Yes, I had to have a smaller classroom to get it.
Right. And what was great was the fact that when I mentioned about luck, we were able to bring in people, and then they told other people in the business community and others, philanthropists and all, and they saw what was happening and felt it was very important. And so they had a strong commitment to keeping the tuition affordable, as far as not raising it every year, which was kind of a killer for a lot of schools. And So that was going on, and at the same time, some of the educational improvement tax credits came into play, and businesses were able to give a tax write-off when they were able to contribute to Harrisburg, and it translated into financial aid towards students to choose Catholic schools, along with Children's Scholarship Fund, Blocks, which is business leaders organized for Catholic schools. We have a lot of financial aid available. I think there's only one family in the school who does not receive financial aid, and that was pretty much their choice. So that helps to supplement what the students would pay. So right now, our tuition is listed as $4,000, but no, I think one person pays $4,000. Other packages are formed by financial aid applications, keeping the price a lot more affordable. So I think when people see that we work with you to make it happen, that I think is a difference. And this family environment where people come in and they feel like they're known, respected, and the history there.
Okay, well, all of that is so good to know. Now, your young people are just very, very talented individuals in many different ways. But in particular, I wanted to zero in on the young people who are involved in a video production piece that looks like an award-winning piece from my standpoint and where I sit. So talk to us about that as we get ready to go to that video clip that our crew is getting ready to set up for us.
Sure. Well, just a few thoughts in the setup is essentially we have an after-school program, and the instructors there are tasked with giving some challenges to the kids and working through some different themes. And in this case, the kids came up with a project to deal with bullying, and particularly through the texting and Facebook and other social media. And so what you see is sort of the kids responding to their peers and kind of stepping outside the situation and saying, how is it that we could possibly solve this? And then let's get back into it and use the very media and mediums that we work with in order to solve the problem. So it's fascinating. They've done a great job. All
right, well, with that being said, we're going to go to this video clip and just take a look at what our young people are doing over there at the St. Martin de Porres School. All right, now that just gives you a little sliver of what our young people can actually do. I tell you, my head was just spinning with excitement, Mr. Morrison, when you first emailed me the selection of choices of the videos that sort of speak to what's happening at St. Martin de Porres School, and talk about wonderful marketing tools. I mean, wow, I mean, it gives you the flavor. It made me feel like this is a great environment. This is where I would love my grandchildren to go. Yeah. So keep up the good work on the video piece, too.
No, thank you.
Yeah. What else would you want to say about the school?
Well, one of the things that's so important, I think, we recognized early on is that to survive, as you've pointed out, how sometimes Catholic schools are in that threatened position, we needed to form partnerships.
Yes.
And we were able to do that through different things, the Connolly Foundation, the business community. Bob brings in a lot of different people to come in and work with the young people about financial help and science, different experiments and things like that. Through the partnerships that businesses come in, they see what we're doing and they get excited about it. I think it works for them in the sense of seeing like this is a future workforce, and how well they kind of eat up those opportunities, because we know we need each other. And we do have a lot of different programs at the school. We have an extended day, actually, where we have an extra 90 minutes every day, where we have special programming through a 21st Century grant that we received. So kids have extra art and science and math, Spanish. They do chess, etc., video. So the students get a very well-rounded education. And then, as I said, we started a pre-K this year, and wasn't sure how that would work, but it's been very successful. We renovated 2 new classrooms. Good. It's carpeted, air conditioned, and you know, it's really state of the art. So we feel like we're thriving, and just so lucky and blessed to be in that position.
So when is the time to start enrolling for the fall? Would that be like now, or?
That would be like a few months ago.
Oh, okay.
Actually, schools like ourselves can get to be a bit competitive. And so we started registering in January. However, there still are openings, and people can call the school, 215-223-6872, and find out when the next enrollment period would be, and come in and have a tour and hear about the school and see it for yourselves and that kind of thing. So I would just get on it right away, because space is getting tight. We have a lot of folks that continue to choose the school because of the connections that we have and the programming that we have. So you need to kind of move on that.
Okay. Now, I know that recently the school hosted a wonderful fundraiser, and it sounds like it was a great success. Are there some key people that you might want to say thank you to real quick?
Oh, absolutely. We want to certainly thank our honoree, Jerry Sweeney, President and CEO of Brandywine Realty Trust, as well as Land Services USA, Turner Construction Company, and LF Driscoll Company, whose CEO, Jack Donnelly, is actually our board chairman. And through his work and our board, just did a fabulous job. We had over 300 people who were there, and it was just a great opportunity to sort of see and support the great work of the children.
Okay, so then it's not just about the money that can come in from students being enrolled at your school. You're doing some other creative things to get funding in, to keep the school going, and not just going, but to keep it at the excellent level where it is.
Like we were able to introduce iPads. We've gotten donors that brought that along, smart boards, just renovated our technology lab. Because of the grants that Bob has written, for one thing, and the people that come in and word of mouth, seeing the success that we've had and trying to make the school a state-of-the-art place. So we are very much on the cutting edge with what we're trying to attract the kids to do and how we try to keep our curriculum current and challenging at the same time.
Okay, give us that phone number again, please.
215-223-6872.
Okay.
Call soon.
All right, and the website, Bob.
Sure, it's www.smdpschool.org.
A final thought that you want to leave with the audience right quick.
I think a final one is really that when we're complaining and just feeling like we don't have good choices for employment, really look upstream to elementary school. It's where the critical skills are learned. It's an opportunity. Folks can come in. We have people from businesses mentoring students on a lot of different levels, businesses getting involved, influencing what we're teaching the kids. And years down the road, we are now seeing these kids, they're coming back, they're serving the community, and they're taking leadership roles, and they're really making a difference. So, jump in and come on upstream. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here, Bob Morrison, again, Director of Development, and our school principal, Sister Nancy. Thank you again, Sister Nancy.
Thank you, Thera, so much.
We appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Thera.
All righty, we're going to keep it moving as we go forward with this edition of News You Can Use. Dr. Donee Patterson from Einstein Medical Center, she'll join us next. She's going to tell us about everything that is April and May in terms of health. Stay with us.
University's communication department. Students learn to think and do.
Every semester, communication students create and implement public relations plans for local nonprofit organizations.
And journalism students produce Germantown Beat, an online news source for the local community.
It's great that we can apply what we learn in the classroom in our community. Philadelphia is the nation's 4th largest media market and has 4 major sports teams.
Being in a major media market allows us to gain great professional experience through internships and co-ops.
The Communication Center is home to the university's cable station.
LaSalle TV reaches over 350,000 homes in Philadelphia and airs mostly student-produced programming.
Our communication department is ranked in the top 10 in North America for relational communication research.
But keeping with the tradition of the De La Salle Christian Brothers, teaching students comes first.
Think, do with LaSalle Communication. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter.
We're back as we go forward with this edition of News You Can Use, and we're so glad to have you with us. Dr. Donee Patterson is back by my side, my friend, my colleague, and Miss Radio Personality Extraordinaire has the nerve to do her radio show and her cable TV show on the same day. I mean, you sent me the emails telling me you're going to be on, but I didn't comprehend. Yeah, Tuesdays. Cable show, radio, that's a lot. It's a lot. And you're still a doctor, so you got to go see your patients and take care of them.
20 patients today.
Woo! So you're a bad, bad mama, and I mean bad in a good way. But Dr. Donee, as we were taping this show, it is the month of April, but certainly people may see the show over the summer because these are our last 2 shows that we're taping for this season. We'll be back, God willing, in the fall of 2014. But so as people look at the show, any health information you share will be helpful. But we know that the month of April has certain medical health issues specific.
Sure. So April, one of the things for April is it's Alcohol Safety Awareness Month. And there's so much to say about it because people don't realize that about 80,000 people a year die of alcohol-related deaths, and that's not considering the additional almost 85,000 people that have car accidents related to death. So, you know, it's quite a lot of people. People also don't realize that when you drink too much, that they know that it can bother your liver and you can get liver disease, but they don't realize that it can increase your risk for certain cancers. It can increase your risk of osteoporosis, increase risk of Alzheimer's, and worsen heart disease. So there's so many things, and a lot of times it's a denial thing. People don't understand that they are drinking a lot, and there's a difference between alcohol overuse and alcoholism, but if it's causing a problem in your life, then it's probably too much.
Dr. Donee, I'm noticing that younger people are seeming to really get heavy into this drinking thing. In my community where I live, and even within my family, there's some young people who seem to really be liking this drinking thing, and they take it to a whole nother level. Like they get drunk, and then they want to, you know, do other things. And I'm concerned for them, you know.
Well, we should be concerned, especially if it's interfering with someone's life. So if they're noticing that they're being late from work, or they're craving alcohol more, or they get really grumpy during the time where they're supposed to be drinking, or having a problem cutting back. They get a little shaky when they cut back. A lot of times some of those things are very subtle, but if they really pay attention, you can notice that there's a problem. And then younger people are drinking more, and they often binge drink. And they think that, well, I'm not an alcoholic because I'm not drinking constantly, but binge drinking can have equal amount of health disorders. So thank you for asking that. So binge drinking is when, by strict definition, a male drinks 5 drinks in one day, or a female drinks 4 drinks in one day. It's just too much alcohol. It has no nutrition, and it can be toxic. So it's just a huge shock to the liver, a huge shock to the blood system, and it can cause damage to the internal organs.
I was trying to figure out in my head, well, why are young people drinking more than ever before, it seems? And I came up with, maybe because to buy alcohol is cheaper than to buy drugs?
Well, that's one reason. That's certainly one reason. One, it's not illegal to buy alcohol, so you just get someone to buy you alcohol. And then the other thing is that anxiety and depression is very common. I mean, there's so much stress that's going on. There's so much pressure with internet and, you know, different types of social media. There's more pressure on people, you know, cyberbullying, et cetera, et cetera. And there's so much stress going on that they're turning to drugs and alcohol to help kind of help with those symptoms, but it doesn't. It really doesn't help in the long term.
I remember my 21st birthday and being at a bar, because you know you're 21, so you're going to celebrate this new freedom, right? And having a line of drinks on the bar that people had bought all for me, and then there was this one big like champagne-looking glass, and people were. I had the sense, thank God, I had the sense to stop. I mean, I knew that I had a limit. And I left all of that there. Like, there were people encouraging me, take it home, it's yours, it's yours. I'm like, right. Sorry, folks. You know, I just, too much. You know, enough is enough. And I do thank God that I think I had maybe one time in my freshman year of college when I did not know what the limit was, and, you know, got sick and it was horrible. And I said, never again. And I meant never again.
Well, it's a problem because people don't understand that it's hard to talk about how much is too much for a person because it's based on genetics, it's based on a person's size, it's based on how much they've eaten for that day. So there's a lot of variability, so we can't just say, no, you have to limit it to 1 or 2 drinks, but it really does affect your body, and we really recommend people, I mean, if you're drinking more than 1 drink a day, then it could be an issue,
Dr. Donee, I thank you for being with us all season long. You've been so marvelous and wonderful, and again, as long as God says so, LaSalle has already said so, we'll be back in September.
Awesome, looking forward to it.
All right, we're looking forward to it for sure. That's this edition of News You Can Use. I'm Thera Martin Milling, along with Dr. Donee Patterson from Einstein. We thank you so much for checking us out all this year, and certainly want to encourage you, if you've not come to the date of Friday, May the 9th yet, mark it on your calendar if you're a senior citizen, because State Senator Shirley Kitchen is hosting a Senior Citizens Expo at the Pennsylvania Convention Center on Friday, May the 9th. Check it out, 10 a.m. till 2 in the afternoon. Have a great day, everyone.